Today we are going to talk about multiplying unit fractions by whole numbers. And then we'll do a little bit more multiplication with fractions after that, but at least we're going to get started with the beginning. So the most important thing when working with fractions is to remember that I always want to start out working with the fraction pieces, because the more I can use my hands, the more my brain is going to understand the concept. So if you do not have your own set of fraction pieces, you can sometimes make your own by simply cutting up pieces of paper. Or if you have something else that easily divides or can represent fractions, that would be a really good idea for working on any kind of fraction work. So the first problem that we are going to do is 1/6 times 2. Now really, whenever I'm doing multiplication, I'm adding in groups, right? It's just that in this case, my group is a little tiny piece. So I start with 1/6. And how many of these do I need? 2. 1/6 taken 2 times equals 2/6. So 1/6 times 2 of them, 2/6. Now if I want to get fancy, I can do a little bit of exchanging here, because I see that 2/6 can be exchanged or renamed as 1/3. I can see that these take up the same fraction of the whole. So I could say 2/6, that is an accurate answer, or I could reduce my fraction to its simplest terms, 1/3. So what is 1/6 times 2? 1/3. Awesome. Next up, we are going to take the same kind of idea, only this question is asking us to do 2/9 times 3. Now in this case, it's not just a unit fraction. I have 2 of these. So 2/9, boom. Oh, I'll turn it around so you can see it. 2/9, and how many groups am I going to make? 3. So 2/9 times 3, I have one group here. Now I'm going to need to make a total of 3 groups. So here's my second group, and then I need my third group because it is 2/9 taken 3 times. So now I have 1, 2, 3. I have my 3 groups, and when I do the gathering and I put them all together, I'm going to find that I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ninths. Now I can, of course, exchange this as well. And if I reduce this to its simplest term, I'm going to find that this takes up the same fraction as 2/3. And again, I can lay these over the top of my other pieces. I will see that they are equal. So I know that my final simplest terms is going to be 2/3. Excellent. We are going to do one more with just the pieces, and then I will start talking about how you can do this with paper and pencil and some of the patterns that you will see there. So this one, you will see 3/7 times 5. Again, this one is not a unit fraction because I have 3 of these 7ths pieces. So let's do a little predicting. If I'm going to make 5 groups of 3/7, how many pieces should I have? Give it a thought. Okay, I've locked in what I think it's going to be. Now we'll count it out and see. So 3/7 taken 5 times. First off, I got to make sure I'm in the right section. So I've got 1, 2, 3. That's one group. Then I count again. 1, 2, 3. That's the second group. 1, 2, 3. Got my third group. 1, 2, 3. Got my fourth group. I only need one more group. 1, 2, 3. And now I have 5 groups of 3/7 each. So when I look at this, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 total groups. Now, because I have so very many pieces, I am going to start being able to regroup these, and I should be able to actually get a mixed number here because I'm going to get more than one whole. So there's one whole, 1 over 1, or 7 over 7 in this case. Ooh, look at this. I have enough to make a full whole, a second one, and then I have one little 7th left over. So when I exchange, I have 1, 2, and 1/7. So let's check our answer. 2 and 1/7. So how many of these little 7th pieces did I have in the first place? Well, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Did you guess 15/7 is what I would end up with? Well, I'm going to hope that that was your guess. Now, this obviously is going to be much, much easier if you are fluent with your math facts. If you are still working on trying to memorize or know them fluently, it is going to be more difficult. It's a lot easier when you can see the patterns because you are used to how the numbers multiply. So we are then going to take these 3 examples, and next we are going to do them on a whiteboard so that I can talk about how I can go through this with paper pencil now that I'm starting to see some of the patterns. So our first problem was a unit fraction where 1 is the numerator times a whole number. Remember, every whole number can be written as a fraction over the denominator of 1. So I can still refer to this in the format of a fraction. I would just say that I have 2 over 1, or 2 wholes. That is something that's going to be really important for us as we move forward with our fraction work, is remembering that there's always a little hidden 1 underneath every whole number. So first we're going to start by writing this down. We have 1/6 taken 2 times. So 1 over 6 times 2. And I want to know what that equals. So anytime I have a unit, it's going to be pretty easy. I just grab however many of them the whole number tells me. So if I need 2 of, I just grab 2 of those pieces. So this times a unit fraction is going to be pretty easy because 1 times the number, it's always going to be that number. Now, one of the ways that you'll see people writing this is changing this into that fraction format I was just talking about. And if you do that, it's easy to remember that I'm just going to multiply straight across. So I'm going to multiply the numerator times the numerator, that is just 2, 6 times 1, 2/6. Now if you'll remember, we said 2/6 is a completely correct and accurate answer. That is what you're going to get, 2/6. But you could also write this in a simplified or lowest terms, and that's where I talked about how 1/3 is going to be an equivalent fraction. So how do we figure that out? Well, in order to reduce this, what did we do? Well, we took the 2 and we stuck them together. We basically divided it into a little group of 2. If I divide the number 2 by the number 2, I get one group, right? So in that case, I have 1. And the number 6 divided by 2, when I stuck these together, I ended up with a third. So here, my lowest term is going to be 1/3. So the original question way up here, when I check my answer, I will see that it is in fact 1/3. All right, for the next one, let me grab my white cloth here. We are no longer talking about a unit fraction. This one has the number 2 as the numerator. So 2/9 taken 3 times. 2/9 times 3. And then I don't know what this is going to be. I'm just going to put a little X there to say I don't know what that's going to be. Now when we worked this out, we made 3 little piles of 2/9 each and found that 3 times 2, I'm going to end up with 6 of them. So if I rewrite this again with that unit fraction, reminding myself that the number 3 can just be written as 3/1, again, I'm going to see I just multiply straight across. 2 times 3 is 6. 9 times 1 is 9. Ooh, remember we were able to simplify this one down into thirds as well? If I divide the number 6 by 3, I will get, think about it, 6 divided into 3 groups. Oh, I'll get 2. And 9 divided by 3, because whatever I do to one, I have to do to the other, must keep them even. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So my final lowest term is going to be 2/3. Woohoo! Very nice. Now the last one that we did, I had to make a whole bunch of piles of a whole bunch of pieces, right? 3/7 times 5. So 3/7 taken 5 times equals, I don't know what it equals. I'm just going to put the letter Y there to show that I don't know what it equals. Now again, I can rewrite this as a group of 5 whole pieces. So 3/7 times 5/1 equals, and here again I'm going to go straight across. 3 times 5 equals, hopefully you remembered filling that one out in your head, 7 times 1 equals. So I now have 15 of those little 7th pieces. And as you remember, we started putting them together so that we could find a mixed number. Now hopefully remember how to go back and forth between improper fractions and mixed numbers. In this case, we simply divide the problem out. So 15 divided by 7. 7, I was able to get 2 whole groups out. 2 times 7 is 14. I had that one little piece left over, so I had one piece. I needed 7 to make a whole. I ended up with 2 and 1/7. So when I look at my final reduced beautiful mixed number answer, Y equals 2 and 1/7. So hopefully that will get you going on some multiplication with fractions. And anytime you are multiplying by a whole number, remember, there's always a little hidden denominator of 1 under every single whole number. And that should help you keep track of what exactly you're doing. If at any point you get confused, you can also start to just draw out the pieces. There is absolutely nothing to prevent you from drawing materials, even if you don't have them on hand. You could do that as a test strategy, a daily work strategy, all kinds of places where drawing out the problem can sometimes help you visualize it and help you come down to the final answer. So, best of luck and have some fun with math today.